Hello everyone, we are back in CS211 again, and we're looking at this question that was sent to me by one of you guys. And I think it's coming from a session of paper, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2021 2022. Yeah, and in this question, we're being asked to develop a program that uses for loops, and that program is supposed to help us determine the number of drums to stack a layer given the total number of layers n. And they have given us an example of a pyramid of how these drums are supposed to be stacked in figure 2, and this is a nine layered stack pyramid. So you were working at a company, and at that company you stack drums in layers, and you want to determine the number of drums you're supposed to stack in with a given number of layers. So let's try to do the analysis and solve this question and see how the program is supposed to be structured. Okay, so if you were unable to see the question clearly, that side, I've sort of written it here and also drawn our star pyramid. And what we'll observe first is, let's just go over the question statement again. We're developing a program that uses for loops, and it should help us determine the number of drums to stack per layer, but they have given us the structure of how these drums are stacked. So we can see that in this given example, layer 1 has 1 drum, layer 2 has got 3 drums, layer 3 has got 5 drums, layer 4 has got 7 drums. So if we line up these and we say we make something like this and say layers drums, and say layer 1 has got 1, layer 2 has got 3, layer 3 has got 5, layer 4 has got 7, and layer 5 should have 9. Okay, we are able to determine and recognize a pattern here, and the pattern is that the difference in the number of drums per layer is 2, because if we add 2 to 1 we get a 3. If we add 2 to 3 plus 2 we get a 5. So we can see the common difference. And another thing we just realize is that this is actually an AP. It is an AP, and the formula for an AP, in order for us to determine a term in the given AP, is given by Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 D. And D, we know D to be the common difference. In our case, D will be 2. And we know N, so D is the common difference. And we know N to be the position of the term we want to find. And another thing we know is that A is the first term in our AP. T here is the value of that term. at that given position. So in our case, we can relate to say Tn is not the value but the drums, the value or the number of the drums in that given layer. So n in our case will be the layer, the given layer. If n is 1, we are talking about layer 1. If n is 2, we are talking about layer 2. And the common difference still remains the same, and A also still remains the same, meaning A is the number of drums in the first layer. And we know the number of drums in the first layer is just equal to 1. With that said, we can try to come up with a program that will be able to determine the number of drums to stack per layer. Okay, so continuing with the explanation and with a hope in mind that you've understood what I just explained, our program is going to start something like this. I'm going to ask the user to input the number of layers that they are going to stack. So n will be equal to input enter the number of layers. After the user does this, we need to declare some internal variables. So these are going to be a, which is in our case just equal to 1, and the common difference d, which is in our case just equal to 2. I'm going to have an if statement. I'm going to have an if statement that will just control and make sure that this program doesn't run if the user enters a negative number or 0 for the number of layers, because you can't have -1 layers or -2 layers or 0 layers. You need to have a number equal to or greater than 1. So we are going to say if n equal to or greater than 1, then we are going to have our for loop that will help us determine the number of drums to stack per layer. And this is going to be equal to n, for n is equal to, starting from 1 up to n, for n is equal to 1 to n drums is equal to, then we just put the formula for the AP, which is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d, like that. So this will be this statement here will help us determine the number of drums in a given layer. So if n is equal to 1, the drums in layer 1, if n is equal to 1, we are finding that our a is equal to 1 plus n, which is equal to 1 minus 1 times d, which is equal to 2. This will be equal to 0, then this will just give us 1. If n is equal to 2, what we are getting is drums will be equal to 1 plus n, which is 2 minus 1 times 2. Then this will give us 1 plus 2, which will just give us 3, implying that layer 2 has got 3 drums, which is exactly as we have been given in the problem statement. Okay, so after we determine the number, we need to print out to say, okay, this given layer as this given number of drums. And to do that, we're going to use the if print if inbuilt function, and we're going to say if print if layer layer. Okay, then I'll explain this. This is a 0 has drums, and we are continuing below here n comma drums. Okay, that, and we say we'll end our for loop and end our if statement. So what is happening here is this: when we enter the value of the total number of layers n, we are entering this for loop, and with every loop pass it is going to give us an output of the number of drums stacked in the layer. So if n is equal to 1, we are implying layer 1. So this is going to give us an output of the number of drums to stack in layer 1. So it's going to say something like layer 1. If n is equal to 1, this n we are putting at the end in the if print if statement. I'm pretty sure we all know how an if print f statement works. So if it's going to say layer if n is equal to 1 has, and it's going to put drums here has. If it evaluates, it's going to say if that layer, in our case layer 1, outputs gives us that the number of drums is equal to 1, it's going to say 1 drums. We get the logic. And if it takes another loop pass, n becomes equal to 2, we know that layer 2 has 3 drums. It is going to say layer 2 has 3 drums up until we reach the layers that will be equal to the value of n that we entered at the beginning. So this is pretty much how this program is working. Let's just try to maybe look at it in MATLAB. Where is MATLAB? Okay, see. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is visible. Okay, so this is the code implemented in MATLAB, and we can see that when I entered a n value of 4, it was able to give me the output to say layer 1 has 1 drum, layer 2 has 3 drums, layer 3 has 5 drums, and layer 4 has 7 drums. So we can be able to see that this is working. So I'm hoping that you've understood, and if you have any questions, just feel free to send them to my DM or share through the comment section or any other way that you can reach me. Thank you, and see you in the next one.